Another very clear distinction was made between an egoic reaction and a biological reaction. So Ramesh would give the example of, let's say you're on the streets of Mumbai in your car and a beggar comes up to the window, and let's say someone who looks a bit ominous maybe, and there are 4 people sitting in the car. Now each of these 4 people might react differently. In one, there could be fear, and closing the window quickly. In another, anger, don't bother me, get out. A third may have the feeling of disgust, looking at the beggar. And the fourth, compassion may arise. Now, this is a reaction. How one reacts is based on what he calls one's programming, genes and conditioning. So the reaction is one thing, but stretching that reaction in the duration of time becomes an egoic reaction. So an example he would give is, supposing anger arises. One is prone to anger as an example. It arises in the moment, but then what happens? The ego says, why did I get angry? I should not get angry. My doctor has told me not to get angry. It's not good for my blood pressure. How did I get angry? I've been trying to control myself all this time. Why doesn't it happen? That is the involvement of the ego. That is the egoic reaction to what was purely a biological reaction. So he would give the example of his own guru, Nisargadatta Maharaj, who was prone to anger. But he said, if the next moment someone said something funny, he would laugh. He would not hold back, I got angry last minute, so I should not do anything now because I have to look like I'm still angry. It was in the moment. It was gone once the moment was gone. And if the same man who was the reason why Maharaj got angry said a joke, he would laugh. So that is what Ramesh meant, that the biological reaction is a biological reaction based on your nature. But it becomes egoic when you are involved. You get involved in that biological reaction. So here I'd like to read out something which Ramesh says. Even in a sage, anger may arise as a biological reaction, but the sage does not get involved in the anger. The ego, devoid of the sense of doership, does not react to the natural reaction of the body-mind organism. The next moment, someone may say something humorous, and the sage would break out in laughter. Similarly, in a sage, desire can arise, but the sage does not pursue the desire. The sage knows that the desire will be satisfied only if it is God's will. And this point of desire is very important because we all know how we hanker after desires, And Ramesh would give an example of, let's say you're feeling thirsty and the thought comes, it would be nice to have a beer. So you get up, you go to the fridge, you open the fridge, and the beer is not there. So the desire arose to have a beer. But then what happened if the desire is not met? The ordinary person will say, how could I forget? Who finished the beer in this house? Why didn't I get enough? Should I go down to the store and get it? But today is Sunday, I think the store will be closed and now I'm not going to enjoy this movie sitting back and drinking my beer. That is the egoic reaction. For the sage, the desire arises for the beer, but if the beer is not there, the sage has the total acceptance that it was not meant to be. And life goes on. That is the difference between the daily functioning of a sage and an ordinary being.